Hi, welcome to this month's tutorial for the makeup bag. So once you have cut out your pieces of fabric and chosen which ones to have, you need to sandwich them together. So I've chosen to use this one for my lining, and then this one which is going to be on the outside of my makeup bag. You can, if you want to, have two different fabrics on here. You could have a panel going across here of a different fabric, or two different side fabrics. It's entirely up to you for the front panel, as long as it is the measurements that's given on your instructions, then that's absolutely fine. So you can see, if I show you one I've made before, so you can see I changed the colourway here and had a panel in the section here and did it like this. This is what we're going to be making and aiming towards. So I'm going to place my fabric together on top and sandwich that between our interfacing, and you need to pin that in place, and then I'm going to go to the sewing machine and you are going to sew across here. Choose which thread you'd like. I'm going to go for, this is going to be my outside part, so I'm going to go for the contrasting thread, which is the pink thread, I think, going across here, and you're going to quilt your pattern down here. Now I'm going to use, I'll show you this one, I'm going to do the same as this one. I'm going to be using a straight stitch going all the way across with a thickness on here, or a gap between here, probably a bit larger this time, but that was about, I would say 8 mils distance. I'm going to probably do a centimetre distance on this one. So I'll see you back here once I've done that. Okay, so just come back from the machine and you can see that we've added the quilting effect on here. At this moment in time, I'm unsure actually of what side I want to be the outside of my makeup bag and which one to have on the inside. So I'm going to make that decision in a minute. You're going to get your template from your box, place that onto your fabric, and you're going to draw around with a marker pen, and then you're going to cut it out. Okay, so you can see now we've got our makeup bag outline cut out, and you're going to go to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch all the way around the edge just to secure your stitches and the fraying around the edge here. Right, for the next stage you need to get your binding strips. So just cut mine and you need to press them in half. So the next stage, we're going to get one of our binding strips. You're going to choose which side of your fabric you want to be on the outside of your makeup bag. I'm going to stick to my original plan of the birds. You're going to get the edge with the 2 raw edges here, and you're going to line it up to the edge, one of the edges here. I'm just going to let it overhang slightly. And you're going to clip this all the way round the edge, and then we're going to sew it with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So remember, this is on the right side of the fabric. Okay, so I'm going to take that to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch in from the edge here. Okay, so I've just taken that to the sewing machine and have sewn it all the way around the edge here. What you're going to do now is fold that binding over so it covers the raw edges, and you're going to clip that in place, and you're going to do what's known as sew in the ditch. So once you've clipped that in place, you place this back into your sewing machine with the right side facing up, and you're going to sew all along that join line there so that none of the stitches show on the right side of the fabric, and it will stitch this side in place. I'll see you back in a minute. Right, to sew the ditch, we need to line up in this area here so that we can hide our stitches, and it will keep this side in place. Okay. So as you can see here, we've got a nice neat stitch going all the way round, and on the front is nice and neat with no stitches showing on that curve. So you need to repeat the same for the other side. Right, so we finished sewing in our binding across here, and you can see the other side here on both sides, the top and the bottom. The next stage you're going to get is your sip, and that's going to be my outer side. So I'm going to get the sip here and I'm going to line it up with my edge here. So I'm going to clip that in place all the way round, and then when I take that to the sewing machine, again I'm going to sew in the ditch on this side all the way round and have that in place. Okay, so as you can see, we've clipped that all the way around the edge here. Going to take that to the sewing machine and you'll have quite a bit of excess here. We'll deal with that in a bit. Okay. So as you can see here, we've got our sip in place. So we've sewn it across here and you can see it's really nice and neat along here. So the next stage is going to bring up this side. You're going to open the sip and you're going to connect exactly the same process. Fold this over here, let's turn that around so you can see better, and I'm going to use that folded over fabric, binding fabric there as a guide, and you're going to clip that in place all the way around and again sew it in the ditch. Okay, see you back in a minute. Okay, so we've sewn the sip around the whole of our bag. What we're going to do now is the final stages. You're going to place your bag right side up facing you, and you're going to get these two corners here and you're going to bring them across so that the straight lines are meeting up, and do the same on this side. Now the binding is slightly overhanging, so just make sure that you're happy with the line up there. Fold your sips in. You're going to sew across here, okay? So I'm just going to clip that in place. And you will do the same for the other side. Just make sure that your sip is actually closed a bit more around there so that you don't sew it and leave your sip over here and you snip this off and you don't have a sip. We've all been there before. So again, we're just going to fold that over, make sure the binding is nice and it's nice and straight. Okay, I think I'm happy with that one. And the binding's met in the middle there. Oops. So we're going to take this to the machine, and as I said, we're going to stitch across this bit here and across that bit there. I might go over it twice because obviously this is an area that's going to be taking quite a bit of pulling when you're opening up the sip, etc. Just make sure it's nice and secure. See you back in a minute. Right, so we've just come back from the machine and we've done this edge and the other edge. The last thing you're going to do is tidy up this edge here. So this is a bit that will be on the inside that you can see. So we just want to make sure that we're cutting it nice and neat. Don't go over the stitch that you've just done. But we can certainly tidy that up inside. And the same on this side with the excess sip. Going over there, right. And we're going to turn it inside out, the right way round. And you've got your lovely makeup bag. Now what you can do, and what I'm going to do in a second, is give this a press. So you want to make sure these corners are nice and boxed, and press across from here to here. So I'm going to get that join, that line there, and give my makeup bag a press along that line there to get a bit more of a structure. The same this side, and so that you've got a lovely makeup bag with some beautiful fabric that's lining it as well. Hope you enjoyed this make.